Here I am. Hi, world. Thank you so much, Edina, for that beautiful opening and that sharing of what I'm up to in the world. And I'm just so grateful to be here with you, beloved sister. It was such a pleasure to have you during the portal here at Joy Oasis. And so my husband and I have been hosting 1111 gatherings for 14 years now. And it started in our home, and then it grew out of our home into a bigger home and then a retreat center. And then I had an intuitive hit in 2019. I was in Bali and I was under a waterfall. And I just got this really clear message that we needed to take our 1111 ceremony and our activation that we did on 1111 at 1111 globally. And fast forward 3-4 months later, it was lockdown. And so we grew into a virtual experience for 1111 Unified in 2020. And this year we celebrated our 4th year as a virtual event. And we brought back the live event to be here at Joy Oasis. So it was really a pleasure to be kind of pinging back and forth between the two. We had a watch party here of the virtual event in the house, and people come and be a part of it that way and interact and engage in that way. So it was such a beautiful experience. And I'm so grateful for the community that showed up and came out to celebrate with us.
Yeah, that's amazing. I loved it, and I feel like you were there was great speakers that you had leading up to your the in-person stuff, and it was like what, 3 days, and how many speakers did you have? I think you had about 10 or so, 8 or
Yeah, this year we had 13 different Ascension
yeah.
teachers, coaches, and guides. Last year we had 54.
Oh my gosh, that's massive.
We really condensed it and downsized it this year for the summit, specifically to keep it more refined. It was very engaging and interactive. It was for 3 days, 3 hours a day. And we had passionate play sheets to go along with it, with journal prompts and all kinds of activities. And we had the ability to really drop in on a more personal basis with our attendees this year.
Yeah, totally. And also you had a lot of engagement on the Facebook group. I'm in that group, and I think other and people were sharing their stories about how, talking about everything was bringing up, there was women who were having like different healing experiences. One even actually was having like physical benefits to some of the energy work that was being done. Can you tell me a little bit about how, some of these things that people were experiencing during your summit?
Yeah, so this is ongoing even since the very first year we started at home. Essentially, people who come and put their prayers and intentions into the container, when we are gathered collectively, it all amplifies and magnifies. So whatever our intentions and prayers are will catapult into them becoming true and being manifested, or will manifest it, I like to say, at accelerated speeds. And so one woman in particular, Kayla Casey, said that she had a ganglion cyst on her wrist. And on 1111 itself, she had been suffering with this for several months, and was kind of at her wit's end and didn't want to go turn to Western medicine for it. And during the 1111 activation, and specifically as well, the session with Reverend Debbie Grace and Simon Hinton, several hours after that occurrence, she took off her band around her wrist and noticed that the cyst had gone down in size about 75%, what she said.
75, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
a golf ball turning into a marble.
Yeah, it like literally there's just miraculous healing that happens when we're
That's
inside that portal.
Wow, that's amazing. And I also know that you do a lot of like travel to Egypt, and next year you're doing the same 1111 portal day, but this time it's in Egypt, right? Oh my
Yes.
God, I'm so excited. And you actually, I think on the 1111 day have reserved sacred space in one of the temples. Is that right? Can you tell me a little bit about like the power of maybe going to these temples and why you're doing it on 1111, and then how this trip is manifesting into this amazing thing? I already know
I
people who
would
are
love
going.
to. Yeah. So part of the vision and the mission of 1111 Unified is to collectively have groups of people on sacred pilgrimages to the sacred sites. And that way we can all be together and filming into the virtual event, and people who are at home can experience being at these sacred sites on that sacred day. So it's kind of become a spiritual holiday, and a lot of
Yeah.
us are called to back to the sacred sites to receive the codes that we left there behind. We left behind for ourselves many
Right.
lifetimes ago. And so it's really important for us to not only go and receive those codes, but to reactivate them in a sense, right? Because they've been laying dormant for quite some time now. And it's important for some of us who are really being led there to experience them and to assist in opening them back up, so to speak, so that they can be reactivated and actually be utilized for their original intentions.
Yeah, that's amazing. So how can you tell me a little bit, because I know you're really knowledgeable in this area about activations, DNA activations and all everything that's happening. How does going to these sites like in person and getting activated, how does that help like turn on our spiritual awakening process? Because one of the things I love about your program is like you're not crazy, you're just awakening. Right. And like, so you're obviously we're getting activated in the ascension process, and people are going to different like Machu Picchu are going to different. I went to like Tikal in Guatemala, and I feel like that's when a lot of activation started happening in my life. And so tell me a little bit about how that works with like, being in person and getting activated in our DNA.
Well, it happens for everyone in a different way, right? So we all have our own experiences when we enter these sites. So, for instance, I would go into a pyramid and I would feel like a low frequency vibration running through my body. Like my hair would stand on end, and I would have a visceral reaction to being in the space. And then when I would start toning inside the sound healing chambers that several
Mhm.
of these tombs are meant to be, then it reorganizes us on a cellular level. And so,
Mhm.
for instance, when I was inside the red granite box in the king's chamber, and we were toning, I literally could feel my body vibrating, and stepped out of that box feeling revived, renewed. There were certain pains in my body that didn't exist anymore. I had this ongoing chronic pain in my left knee and ankle from torn ligaments, and I haven't felt them since.
Wow.
So everyone again experiences it in different ways. Some people will go to a crop circle and suddenly their camera won't work.
Mhm.
They can't
Yeah, because like,
document being in there. Yeah.
yeah, like interference is happening, magnetic
Yeah.
energy interference in these places, right?
Yeah. So sites that hold high frequency vibrations, we're affected by them because
Mhm.
everything in the world is frequency and vibration. And
Right,
just,
right,
yeah, exactly. So how we receive them is up to the person who's receiving it. So they need to be open to the experience first and foremost. They need to be open to energetically and to the idea that they can have miraculous healings. Uh,
right.
yeah, and that's the first step, really.
Right, the awareness or like consciousness, even awakening and opening up to that new reality of possibility. And that also ties, I know, into your healing work in general with sound and vibrational frequencies. And tell me just in a little bit, like I know I want to talk about all your university stuff and your launch and your program, but I'm just curious about the tuning forks that you use, because I was watching TikTok the other day, and I follow Mama Netta. She's like got that. She's like an influencer in spirituality. But anyway, she was showing like the pink fork is like a high vibration, and I realized that I don't know much about that. Can you say a little bit about how you use the tuning forks to really amplify and create like healing for the people you work with, and people in your program and your clients and all of that?
Yeah. So, very much like acupuncture or acupressure, right? There's all these different points on the body, right? There's
Hmm.
different meridian points and the nadis. And when you strike a tuning fork and actually place it on those points, then it brings the frequency into that area of the body, and it will translate into the different organs that are associated with that particular chakra center. If, say, for instance, that you're working on something in particular, and the organs that are associated with it will receive the frequency and also the color. So when I studied, I went through a course with conscious colors, and she specifically uses different planetary forks. So each of the planetary forks vibrates at the frequency of that planet. So for instance, the red is the Mars fork, but that's the root fork when we're working with it to use it for the chakra system. So anything that's out of balance around survival, finances, home, shelter, food, clothing, anything like that, then that is our survival mode. And that is the frequency that you'll want to use to help clear that energy field and to get that root chakra rotating and operating optimally, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, you also talk, I know a lot about like nervous system regulation. And I know we have a mutual friend, and you know, she was talking about all your knowledge in that area. And it sounds like you also have a very holistic way that you work with people, you know, in their, when they're doing these healing methodologies and in the ascension process, right? So it's all connected to, like, sounds to me like our nervous system, and that's where sound and vibrational frequency also has a deep impact. Is that right?
Yeah, indeed it does. I like to listen to solfeggio frequencies. I
Yeah.
listen to a lot of binaural beats when I go to sleep. And one of the apps that I like to use a lot is called Sync Tuition.
Uh-huh.
And it's binaural beats, 360 sound, and it's specifically created to put you into a state of deep relaxation. And they've done studies on it that the 22-minute session for Sync Tuition gives you up to 4 hours of deep meditative state. So
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome.
it's huge when it comes to nervous system regulation. Of course, there's self-care tactics as well that are just key to make sure that you stay regulated, especially when you're in high intensity anxiety or stressful situations. Uh, and when you have that regulated nervous system and hormonally balanced as well, then you can navigate through more difficult situations in your life with more grace and ease. You can stay more calm, cool, and collected.
Right, right. And I know I've seen some of your work where you've talked about like your Ascension toolkit, right? Or like you have a, I don't know, what is it, 9 or 10 Ascension tools and things like that yeah. So tell me a little bit about what you're launching in this program and what's going on, because I know today on the 21st, you're actually kicking something off with the opening ceremony, but then people are really getting ramped up over the next couple weeks for this 14-week like transformational journey where you're doing a lot to, yeah, but definitely post the link there, where you're doing a lot to just bring people into their highest embodied state and their highest timeline, and also focusing a lot on new earth leadership and being able to do this work and create the avenues for people to just become leaders in our new earth reality. And that's part of your mission at the oasis that you have and everything that you're doing. So yeah, tell me a little bit about how how this program works, what people are doing in the next 14 weeks with you, and everything that you're building.
Yeah, sure. Well, I have some good news. We actually just extended it. So
Yes.
people can
Oh,
register until November 30th.
okay.
The program itself, or the course, is now 16 weeks instead of 14 weeks. And even though it's a virtual experience, we're going to end the course with a live retreat here at Joy Oasis. So
Yes,
those who
amazing.
sign up to be with us virtually through this sacred container will all come to completion together in person, where we can hold each other and love on each other and dance and sing and just go through a lot of embodiment practices here on the land,
Yes,
surrounded
amazing.
by the beautiful ancient redwood forest. So what Edina is alluding to is that the 1111 Unified Ascension University was just launched during the summit. And this Ascension University is intended for multiple Ascension teachers, coaches, and guides to come and be a part of this platform and teach their modality and techniques. Although this particular container is my personal offering, and it's called You're Not Crazy, You're Just Awakening. And so I'm in service to those awakening souls who are ready to shift confusion, loneliness, and fear into clarity, belonging and connection, and freedom, and really to transform self-doubt into confidence. That's what I'm best at. Over the 20 years that I was the founder of Holistic Hooping, I have taught over 55,000 people the art of embodiment and how to become confident in themselves. People who like, oh, I can't do this. This is too difficult. And then they realize that they can. And then they launch into the next evolution of their life just from feeling the empowerment of knowing that they can do something that they put their mind and heart into. And so this particular container are for light workers who are tired of dimming their light to fit in, or they might feel like they feel really left out, like they don't really connect anymore with certain old friends or even their family because they're starting to vibrate at a higher frequency. And just like a radio station, when you're out of tune with those who aren't at that same vibration, there's dissonance between you. And so learning how to trust that it's okay if some of those people fall away. It's okay if certain things don't resonate with you or the relationship you're in or the job that you're in or the home that you're in. And this container is really meant and structured for those who are ready to shift these problems, struggles, and challenges into what we call your newer superpowers. So I'll give you an example. I have some hearing loss in my right ear and started 18, and it's progressively gotten worse in the sense that I only hear muffled sounds in this ear. So when I have my good ear down on the pillow, I can't even hear my husband speaking next to me, but I can hear the electricity in the walls. I can hear mice in the attic.
Like
high frequency, right? And so when I have a ringing in the ear, which some people would say is tinnitus, if I have ringing in the ear,
Ascension symptoms.
In that moment, exactly, these are ascension symptoms. In that moment, I have to pay attention to what's around me. It's like an alarm. It's like, bing, okay, there's something I need to pay attention to right now. And I've avoided accidents. I've avoided, a glass falling off the table. There's just certain things that I pay attention to. It's like my intuition alarm going off, right? One of my clients, two of my clients actually experience what they call aura migraines. And what this means is they're working on the computer, they're going about their day, and suddenly there's this blurry rainbow cloud that goes over their vision and they can no longer see straight. And so you would think, oh, this is a problem. But what does it give them? It gives them the opportunity to be in pure presence because they can't do anything anymore. They have to stop the task at hand and just breathe and let it pass. And so they've been gifted the superpower of presence. So we're going to transform anything that you consider challenges and struggles, take that bird's eye view of your life and see that it's always meant for the highest and best. Your soul signed a contract to learn certain lessons. And when we can see those lessons as growth, as opportunities for growth and expansion, then we can rise into what we call our New Earth leadership, where we can lead by example. We can lead by example through love, compassion, empathy, through integrity and accountability. And when we're in a sacred container like this together, we are collectively doing that, not just for ourselves, but we're rippling that out into the collective, into the past and into the future. So we're healing timelines together as we journey through this container together.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And tapping into superpowers, like you said, as we do it, because some people will start to talk about all our intuitive abilities, psychic abilities, getting strengthened in this process. And I love how you had, some examples of these, like even ascension symptoms. I know I get here ringing in the ears and people are talking about it. And you're right. It's really all designed for us to pause and tune in to what's going on, and it's to take us a moment to be more spiritually aware. And I also like that you pointed out that this is really a program for people who are feeling like they're been like a, you know, a black sheep of the family, or kind of like an outsider, like a lot of the light workers and, you know, people identify maybe as star seeds, or they start to become more spiritually aware, and, you know, they need community and support in this process and this journey. And a lot of us feel like, I know myself, I come from a Muslim background, and I have, you know, like you feel like you've been an outsider all your life, and then you come into community where you're feeling much more supported, and everyone is, you know, holding similar values and goals. So yeah, tell me a little bit more about that, because I really think that this is great for people to find like their alignment, and do this work, and go into these different leadership positions like you mentioned.
Yeah. So one of the things, and there's several signs to know that you're spiritually awakening. And one of them is that you can start feeling lost and alone.
Yeah.
And because certain things, as I said before, don't align anymore, you begin to refine the energies that you choose to have in your life. So certain people will begin to become attracted to you when you are clear on who you're calling in. And
Right.
so that there comes in the clarity piece as well, because part of being spiritually awakened too is that sometimes your life suddenly doesn't make sense anymore. Like,
Right.
why am I stuck in this job? Why am
Job.
I working for this person that doesn't have gratitude for me? Why am I grinding for what?
Right.
And when we squelch our soul's calling, when we don't acknowledge our actual mission and purpose, then uh, our whole life can disintegrate, and suddenly we're compounded and weighed down with the weight of not feeling fulfilled, of being fearful. Just so many things start to happen, and then it snowballs, right? It's like more
Right.
bills come when you focus on not having money. You have more things that you
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
more in debt, and you feel that weight, right? So those are the energies of like, I have to, I should, I have to go to work to do this. I
Right.
should do this to do this or get this, right? And there's a certain weight and heaviness in that. So when we go in and we create, for instance, we go through the divine source process during the program, we go in and start pulling those tendrils of that old programming, those old belief systems and thought patterns, that some of them might not even be yours, right? Like my
Mhm.
mom used to say, money doesn't grow on trees. You have to work hard for it.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't believe that. I'm in Northern California. I see that money can grow on trees. And I do understand that um that my belief that I could bring abundance and resources into my life with grace and ease, that's the program that I want to be running. That is the thought pattern that I want to have. And that
Right.
will dictate my actions. And then I'll receive that abundance, that fulfillment, that prosperity, the land, I mean, here I am. I'm sitting on beautiful property, 11 and a half acres that was gifted to us by the universe. Unfortunately, I had to deal with my father-in-law passing to receive it. And I had a woman acknowledge me last weekend. She's like, wow, you are in service and you were gifted this. Like his
Mhm.
health was declining. He wasn't taking care of it. He was thinking about selling it. And the universe was like, actually, this is your son's property to
Mhm.
carry your legacy of wanting to create a retreat center, a place for people to come and gather and be in community. And so again, that's that higher vision of taking something that's tragic, the loss of a beloved family member, and turning it into, look at the gifts we've received, and now look at the gifts that our community will have as a result.
Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds like, you know, you really, we need to like, you really help in the getting people through these processes of having to really reprogram their belief systems so that we can, you know, launch our successful businesses. And I like what you said earlier it just sounds like you're really helping people find their soul alignment, their highest purpose.
Right.
And I know when we're doing this work, people want to attract their soulmate clients and their soul, our soulmate partners and our twin flame, whatever that might be for you. But so much of this work is just doing this healing and getting through these challenges, these triggers, whatever. And like we talked about earlier, nervous system regulation and emotional expression of our traumas, and that's a long process. I mean, it takes time. And so you said that you extended it to 16 weeks, which is awesome. So how do you feel, like, how do people expect to kind of get transformed in this 16-week journey with you? What are we looking to accomplish here? Because I know you also have, a potential second program and even more that people can do after this, right?
Yeah. This is a great question. And I'm gonna just pick out one sentence that you said. This is a long process. It doesn't have to be. That's the thing. That's the old program of talk therapy.
Right.
Oh, I got to spend 10 years on
10
the
years.
couch with my therapist doing this and that to solve depression or manic depression or a plethora of different diagnoses, right?
Right.
And I went to school. I have a degree in psychology and philosophy. And so I understand that it's all about diagnosing to have a prognosis so that you can give them whatever prescriptions that you need to give them to help them with their issue, with their problem, right? But the new program, the new earth programming, is that this can all be healed in quantum field. When
Right.
we work with the quantum field and we can go in and literally do the healing ourselves, there's certain methods and techniques that I'll be sharing during the program.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking like transformation. I mean, the woman with her ganglion cyst, like within 4 hours, 75% down, right?
Yeah.
There are ways, and it all comes down to your belief. It does.
Mm.
All comes
Okay.
down to your belief that you can transform your life. And it isn't for everyone too. Like people who aren't ready to take responsibility for their life, people who want to wallow in their problems because they get sympathy from others, people who constantly have physical issues over and over again, chronically coming up for them. There is an energy and a frequency attached to those. And if you believe that you can clear that energy and frequency attached to it to heal it, then
Mm-hmm.
it's possible. But you have to believe it first. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's what we always hear. It's like a mindset game first and foremost, and that's what, even when we start off the path of any personal development, any kind of awareness of you know self-reflection, why how we get on these healing journeys, it all begins with the mindset. And it just seems like we have like an endless amount of work to but it's not, we can do it. But like the subconscious programs and thoughts that we're running, we have to kind of be able to have the mindset that we can do this quantum energy healing work, and that it can be accelerated and happen a lot faster than, like you said, maybe just 10 years of talk therapy to try and get rid of whatever your childhood issue was. So I love that. I'm definitely learning more and more about this world and everything with the power of like sound and frequency healing, vibrational energy, quantum field. I mean, it just sounds like you have so much knowledge and expertise and how to, really transform, get people into their embodied ascension, truest, highest self and best timeline. So, I love that. And I'm excited for the program. I'm glad to hear that you extended the registration until the 30th. Is there anything else that you want people to know or hear about, around what they can do if they, I know we're going to have this recording emailed out, and we have a few people on the call, and we're going to be putting out some commercials and reels on social media. But yeah, what do you think people should be doing? Where can they get more information and start to plug into this if they're listening?
Yeah. So I'm going to circle back to something you asked earlier, and then I'll share how. So part of this program is learning what I call the Ascension integration technique.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a series of formulas, step-by-step methods And through that process, it really is about integrating your higher self wisdom, creator source energy, so that you can step into creating your life and then leading by example. So rising into leadership. The second course that will be launched relatively soon is for you to actually monetize the Ascension integration technique by becoming an Ascension integration mentor. And then you can take the technique and you can share it with your community, your family, your clients. You can integrate it into the work that you're already doing. If you're creating events and retreats, there are specific things within the technique that you can, condense into like a half an hour presentation or an hour long presentation or a weekend long experience. So going through this first container is you having the experience of the Ascension integration technique. The second part is you learning the technique to share it with others. And then the next step is being in Egypt together next year.
Yeah.
So because from there, then we're going to be training the 1111 Unified Network Sacred Pilgrimage Tour Guides. So if you've ever had a dream to be at the sacred sites on a special occasion, then those would be the ones who are trained to go. And so somebody's at Stonehenge, somebody's at Machu Picchu, somebody's in Tulum, somebody's
like the grid work.
Egypt. Yes. And it's all happening at once. So that's the bigger vision. And if you're resonating with anything that I'm saying, then you can go to 1111 ascensionuniversity.com. And that's where you'll find the level 1 course. You're not crazy, you're just awakening. And on that page, if you have any questions or concerns or anything that's holding you back, then just book a free Sacred Success session with me. And the link for that is on the website as well. And I'm sure wherever we post this, we can probably put the link to that calendar invite. So it's a free 30-minute session with me. We get to the root of what you're struggling with, and then what it is that you want to create. We make those correlations between how to get there, and then we get you registered for the course, because this is going to be an amazing ride together.
Awesome. I love that so much. And like you said, I even doing the Egypt add-on next year would be amazing. And tell me about the temple that you have the 1111 ceremony. I know it's at Isis, right? Is there a reason specifically you have that one?
Yeah. So the trip is October 26th to November 14th, 2024. Yeah. Awesome. And it's 20 days. I've done the same trip in 12 days, and it was rigorous. You had to be on the bus at 5:30 a.m. and off the bus at 11 p.m.
We don't want that. We want
relaxing. It was a lot. And so I extended the trip. It's 20 days and 19 nights and to do the same trek. And part of it is we have the private access between the paws of the Sphinx around sunrise. And then we also have private access to the Grand Pyramid and inside the King's Chamber. So our group will have alone time in the King's Chamber, where we can really tone and create the sound healing frequencies that that particular room in the pyramid is meant for.
Yeah.
And then we will continue down, and we'll go through Abydos and Luxor. And then we'll take dahabeyas, these wooden Egyptian sailboats, for 5 nights on the Nile, traveling down the Nile, hitting different temples along the way, Umbo and different temples. And then we will get to Aswan, where we will spend the day and 3 hours private access to the Temple of Isis. So we'll be at the Temple of Isis. There's a particular doorway at the Temple of Isis that has the hieroglyphs of like star portal on one side, and the other is remembrance, and they literally look like 1111 on both sides of the door. And so I call it the 1111 portal. We're going to be standing at that doorway in ceremony together on 11/11/2024.
Amazing. It is the portal. That is the 11/11 portal. You're going to be there. Oh my God. It's going to be 11/11/24. Amazing. And also I heard on the trip you're doing other fun things, like there's a hot air balloon ride, and obviously down the Nile there's cool things to see. Yeah, so it sounds amazing.
It is incredible. The hot air balloon ride is over the Nile, and that's outside of Luxor, and it goes over Hatshepsut Temple and the Valley of the Kings. And then there's also when we go to Abydos and we're at the House of Life, Flower of Life, House of Life hotel near Osiris's temple, we'll go through a czar ceremony as well, which is where you eat fermented bread, and then they drum and we dance, and it really is another moment for integrating higher self codes that we're receiving.
Wow.
We're at the site. So there's lots of little extra things along the way too that makes it special.
I love that because you don't get that on your normal tour guide.
No, you don't.
You maybe get a buffet on the cruise ship, and that's about it.
Yeah, and I will be hosting a call for this around the end of January, beginning of February, so keep an eye out for it.
Okay.
You can join our email list at 1111unified.com. And for those who are interested, you can also go to 1111unified.com/Egypt. And right there, you can just hit the application and the form will come up and you can apply to go on the trip. And then we'll send out notifications about our Zoom call meeting where we're going to gather together, answer any questions that you have. You'll meet our tour guide, Rabi, from Unknown Egypt, and he'll be able to answer any concerns that you might have. And we'll just talk about the layout of the land and the trip and how we envision it.
Awesome. Amazing. Okay. I love that, Anistara. And I'm so glad you gave that whole overview because wow, 20 days and it's going to be a jam-packed, like a lot going on. And I'm so excited that people are going to get to do that and do it as a good group and a community with your, kind of like sacred family type of environment. So that's really important. Yeah, especially as
come home with your tribe, right? Because that's what it is. Like so many of us are feeling called. I can't tell you how many people here during the 1111 portal said, oh my gosh, I've been wanting to go to Egypt my whole life. And several people saying, I've had opportunities to go, but it just hasn't lined up yet. And others who said, I was told specifically in a dream that I have to go to Egypt in 2024. Right. So it's all happening. And yes, it's jam-packed. And there's a solid intention to have integration time woven in because we are staying at these gorgeous 5-star resorts. And so you'll want to have time to be together in community. We'll circle up periodically throughout the trip at our hotel. And then there's times to like just spend the afternoon by the pool, right? And walk the gardens. So
yes, I
didn't have that on my last trip. I didn't. It was a lot. It was so intense and I was exhausted. My child is coming with me. He's going to be 9 and children are invited because we want families to go too. A lot of the pilgrimages are meant for just single travelers going with a group, or you go with a friend.
Right.
And because I'm a mom, this is family vibes. So if you and your child and your partner, or you and your child really have been wanting to go together, this is your opportunity to do that.
Amazing. Yes. Family friendly, and bring the young ones. I have 2 kids. I mean, I would love it for them to have that kind of extra special like temple experience in Egypt because it's like so much of that pharaonic stuff that they're learning about in schools at this age. They get really curious, and hieroglyphics, everyone wants to see that. So I love that, Anistara. It's amazing that all the work that you're doing, the trip planning, the Ascension University, obviously the importance of all of the Ascension integration techniques, and really just creating a path for people to move into their highest timelines and embody, new earth leadership. I think that's what you embody, and that's what you bring to your clients and all the work that you do. So thank you so much. This has been amazing, hearing about everything that you have going on. So I feel really honored to be able to help you, get the word out and promote the work that you're doing, because we love all things Ascension now.
Yes, we do. I love it. Your book and the opportunity to speak on embodied ascension. I know that I've told you, but that was the title of our summit this year. It was Embodied Ascension, a New Earth Leadership Summit. And then I was driving to Shasta and I got ringing in the ears. And I literally looked down and I saw the graphic that my team had just made. And I was like, no, that's not right. And I got another ringing in the ears and I heard embody your ascension, 3 steps to new earth leadership.
Yes.
And it's like that felt engaging and inviting for people to come to a small container summit for 3 days. But the
Absolutely.
embodied ascension, that's the extended version and your weekly show. So I just love it. We're so
I love
aligned.
it. I know we're all working on this embodiment process, whether we're aware of ascension or not aware, or whatever we might be doing. And I think it's just important that we're doing it together and supporting the community and the people who are attracted to this and need this really important and valuable, like, transformational experience in their life. And finding, like, with spirituality consulting services and the work that I do also is helping put people in front of the right person and healer and practitioner at the right time for their
Yeah.
their healing journey. And the fact that you have this university going and everything constructed for this program, I just think it's amazing, and I'm so thrilled that we can get people doing this work with you. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. It's such a
All right. Well,
pleasure.
I'm going to end the recording and we're going to open it up to any questions. I know we've been having people kind of hopping on and hopping off, but I will be emailing this. Are you